Welcome to Shakin Hands, where we provide the platform for entrepreneurs and thought leaders to share their stories in order to hopefully influence others to get out of the rat race and chase their own dreams. If you have any recommendations for guests or questions that you want to be asked, please don't hesitate to reach out. Anyways, if you enjoy the podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, and share in order to keep the podcast growing. Otherwise, I'm your host, Jack Moran, and this is Shakin Hands. If you're looking for business mentorship, I have a place where you can get feedback on your unique personal development and business growth challenges. Over the last year, I've brought together a group of impact-driven thought leaders where we meet every single day to discuss psychology, communication, mindset, and business case studies. We have people who have made millions of dollars, lost millions of dollars, Harvard MBAs, and new entrepreneurs like you and I. Entrepreneurship can be lonely, so if you're looking for a support system, please follow the link in the description below for some more information.
So for me, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. At Clemson, I was kind of handed the entrepreneurship club. It was like a small little club that we would just have alumni come in and speak at, literally on game day weekends. They'd come on a Friday, come speak to the group. And there was this one guy, Steve Edwards, that he was kind of like a big real estate developer in Clemson, hotels, Walmart, shopping centers, all that stuff. And he was the coolest one. He's a pilot, he's an author, he does Ironmans, like does just all this badass stuff. So I really connected with him, and then I was like, well, how do I get into real estate out of college? Like, I don't have any money. So I knew I wanted to be in Charleston, took like a bogus recruiting role, making like $45K a year, but it got me to Charleston, and I was like, I'll figure it out. So one thing after another, was in that role for like 4 months and just hated it, miserable, trading my time for money, making no money. And then I started reading books, and it was Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Have you read that one?
Of course.
Yeah. So
that's like where everyone gets their start.
Yeah. I mean, as cliche as it is, that was the one that really did it for me. And it was just like, I read a few other books, and just the common denominator was all these millionaires, was due to real estate. So I was like, well, if I start in real estate at this age and I just stay somewhat consistent, by the time I'm 50, I'm going to be worth something, right? So that forced me to reach back out to Steve. Hey, Steve, how do I get involved? And really three main options. You can go the retail agent route, where you're going to be commission-based only. You're working for a brokerage, you're going and just cold calling out the ass. That's what you're going to have to do anyway. Or there's, hiring a mentorship, a coach, where you have to pay. Or just going to YouTube University and just bootstrapping it. So I decided to invest in a mentorship. I looked at a few of them. I had like 11 grand to my name at the time, and I spent 10 of it on this course. And I, continued to work in the role because I needed money. And then after hours, get home from work, walk the dog, and just grind these training modules, So fast forward 2 months, I had a good foundation. I knew, how to underwrite properties, how to market, how to do this stuff, but I hadn't done a deal and I don't have money to market. So that was like, I was like, I just need to get out of recruiting and get into real estate full time. So my mentor from that coaching program forced me to go, put myself out there, go to real estate events, meetups, all this stuff. And that's where I met Nate Hirschberg, who really is responsible for all of it. Pretty much, he was running a virtual wholesaling operation, virtual flip actually. And I started out with him as a lead manager about 3.5 years ago, just smiling and dialing, making 150, 200 calls a day. Worked my way up to an acquisitions manager and then eventually a COO. So I was a COO for 1.5 years. We scaled it to multiple 6 figures in assignment fees on a monthly basis. And then as of January last year, I fully went out on my own. Same business model.
So to break that down a little bit, starting with the course modules, was that beneficial or a waste of time?
No, it definitely was. I'm a big advocate of paying for proximity. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here, right? Real estate's been around forever and it always will be, right? So just paying for proximity, if it could take me, 5 to 6 years to get where I'm at now, but, putting myself in the right rooms, paying for access to the people that have been doing this and have learned the hard way, just really learning from their experiences. And hey, don't try this marketing channel, try this marketing channel, or, don't do this market, do this market, just things along those, and just shortening the learning curve.
If, like the process you went through, you happy you went through that process, or you wish you had taken different steps? Or if you could go back, would you have taken some different steps and could have fast tracked the process? Or
yeah, 100%. I mean, no, I don't think I would because, I mean, just delayed gratification. Majority of real estate investing is delayed gratification. Some people will say wholesaling's not. I mean, it is. You get, your fee in 30 to 45 days. But if like to truly build wealth through real estate, yeah, that's delayed gratification. So, and another thing too about wholesaling is 90% of wholesale companies fail in their first year because it's risky. I mean, you have a lot of overhead in marketing. And it's not easy. I mean, you're convincing people to sell their house to a stranger over the phone for 70 cents on the dollar. And your average person buys and sells a home 2 times in their life. So the other thing too is 99% of the US, their largest asset is their home and the equity they have in their home, right? So for these people, I still don't know how they do it or why they do it or why it's even a thing. But the fact that these people, sell their largest asset, over the phone, for 70 cents on the dollar. I mean, there's motivation, there's reason to it, but just that trust factor is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, that was my next question. What is that like buzzword or like key point or, prodding point that makes them move over the edge? Why do they do that? Why are they motivated to?
Yeah. So like our most common lead source last year was tired landlord. So these are, and it's
Tired landlord?
tired landlord, meaning that they have rental properties and they've kind of let the property go. They're renting it out below market rent. They need to replace the roof for the HVAC and they just don't want to deal with it. And a lot of our clients are actually retired veterans who, were stationed somewhere, bought a house on a VA loan, got sent elsewhere, decided to rent that house out, then bought a new house. Next thing you know, they got 8 to 10 properties that, it's cash flowing, but these 8 to 10 properties are in 6 to 7 different states. And obviously they're not going and checking in on them. So, the time comes where this is it's been their cash flow. It's what they've been living off of for a while. But the time comes where, they need to sell and fully retire. So we get a lot of portfolio deals from veterans, a lot of just, distressed divorce situations, probate situations, inheritance, foreclosures and stuff like that.
How are you guys prospecting and not having to just call random people and hope you get in touch with a veteran? Like, are you tailoring down those lead lists, like, so that you're getting more targeted?
Yeah. So the data management part of it, and it kind of depends on your marketing source. So like cold call and SMS, you can target your marketing, right? You're going to go and you're going to pull data. You can use a site called PropStream, Batchleads. There's a bunch of them out there. But what these are going to do is they have preset lists for you, but that's what everyone's calling on, so we do have more niches that, work for us. But essentially, you can filter this down to age of, the demographic of who's living there, how much equity they have in the house, property value, zip code specific, code violation, water shutoff list, tax delinquency, all these things that are going to indicate that these people have, they're in some level of distress. Therefore, they may be able to justify a discount to get out of the present situation that they're in.
What's the difference that you see between someone who succeeds and fails at wholesaling real estate?
I just think consistency. I mean, it's not glorious. It's, our average purchase price last year was like $150,000. So, $150,000 house, around here, you got to go probably up to, there aren't even any in North Charleston anymore, so, your average, it's just not glorious. It's not the $1 million houses in Mount Pleasant or downtown that's like, well, this is cool, I'm happy to put my name on this. It's like a little fucking 2-bedroom, 1-bath in the middle of nowhere that, it's just a brick ranch. So it's not glorious, and it's people will tell you to fuck off on the phone. People will tell you to get a real job, tell you that you're a scammer, like all this stuff. So it's just, you got to have tough skin for sure. The other thing too is you'll do everything you do right. You get the lead, you get them under contract, you get pictures back, you assign it to a buyer, and then title search comes back and they have liens that outweigh that, exceed the purchase price, and then, nothing happens. The deal's canceled then. So there's a lot of things out of your control, but it's just staying consistent and trusting the process is the biggest thing for sure.
I think a lot of people, when they start doing cold calling, they get emotionally attached to those rejections. How do you separate your emotions and not care and just make that next call?
Yeah. For me, I'm not calling anymore, luckily, but I did obviously call for a solid 2 years. And it was just on to the next. If this guy is going to tell me I'm a loser and, to never call him back and to get a real job, who the hell do I care? This is the dude who lives in a $200,000 house who is in financial distress. Like, why the hell do I care what he thinks of me, let alone he's never going to meet me? Who the hell, what the hell do I care, Yeah. And then it's then it's the deals that do work, which is what keeps you coming back.
Right.
This, and it's always so funny. the big deals, the 30K, the 50K, the 60K deals are the easiest ones from start to finish. It's like the 5Ks, the 7Ks that are an absolute nightmare to deal with.
Yeah.
On every aspect of the process.
What is the input to output usually like? Like how many calls to?
Yeah, so like it depends on lead source, right? So like outbound lead sources, cold call, SMS, we are literally just cold calling them straight up. We're filtering the list. We have probable reason that they are in some level of distress, therefore they could justify a discount. But so we have cold callers in the Philippines and Egypt offshore, which, they qualify the leads for our team in the US, our acquisitions managers, and then, they work the lead. But like for cold call, it's one in every 77 leads that we get for cold call is actually a profitable deal.
77 leads or 77 outreach?
Leads. Oh, outreach is we can't run it off that. That would be too granular.
Yeah. So how many like calls leads to a lead?
We have 20% connection rate, so I'd probably say about 200 on. They run a multi-line dialer, so they're calling 3 lines at once. If one person picks up, they get rid of that call, then the other ones dwindle out. So it's all.
So like 1,500 calls to a closed deal. Wow,
Definitely.
that's crazy.
Yeah, and I mean it's a numbers game at the end of the day, and that's why like consistency is just so important.
Yeah, I've never, I have not personally done any outsourcing on cold calling. I guess I've had like some limitation within my own head, thinking that like having people that don't speak English very well, not having high success rate on the phones. What's that process been like? Getting ramped up and getting a process down for having offshored cold callers.
Yeah, so it's and that's how it's. And well, number one, out of all my marketing sources, cold call is the best. We had a 10x ROI on that last year. Our next was like an inbound source, which was 7x. But like our cost per lead for cold call is about like $77. Our cost per lead for like PPL, pay per lead, is like $300 to $400, right? But to answer your question about just the quality of them, is a lot of them it's these big call centers. I've probably used about 10 different companies by now, kind of just experimenting. I've also brought cold calling in-house, one time where I was like, this will just be way better if I have set of cold callers that I can manage and I can train on my own time. And then it's just too tedious at the end of the day. But when you interview these cold calling companies, it's more about professionalism. Some of them are very bootstrapped. Some of them are like literally corporate companies with thousands of cold callers. But they cycle those cold callers through. So like with one company, I pay for 4 spots. Another company, I pay for 6 spots. So like 10 total callers. Doesn't mean I have the same 4 or the same 6 every day. They're rotating them on a weekly basis because turnover is high as well in those roles. So like the call recordings that you review when you're vetting them isn't going to be the exact same caller that you're going to have
Right.
the next day, the next week, or even ever. So it's really just like we just track. We have me and my director of operations. We have a meeting once a week to review cold call campaigns, and we're just looking at the high level metrics. We're looking at connection rate, we're looking at the abandon rate, and then we're looking at the amount of wrong numbers as well. It's super important. So like there's certain metrics that are important to us because we've learned throughout the past 3.5 years that you can't control the exact quality. You're paying these people $4 to $5 an hour. That's what you're going to get at the end of the day. But knowing that marketing source has worked for us year and year again, we're going to continue to do it.
What's the abandon rate? Like once a person's picked up and you've connected with them, like you can't get a hold of them again, or what does that mean?
So it's for the multi-line dialer. So like say that, you can run up to 8 lines at once. So say that you're running 5 lines at once and you're on the phone, basically 2 people answer the phone at the same time or within like 5 to 10 seconds of each other, that the one who answers second is abandoned. And then you have to and try to get back in contact with them.
Gotcha. Okay.
So abandon rate means, these people are answering, but, we're running too many lines. We have to run less lines on certain lists.
And you obviously write the scripts for them, right? Are they using your company's name? Okay.
No, they're not. Basically, it's a very vague script.
So they're just identifying like a prospect.
Exactly. Yeah, their job is just identify if this person has some level of interest in selling, immediately in 30 days and 60 days, hell, even over a year from now, because a lot of these landlords, the tired landlords, their rentals cash flowing, the tenant's paying, the roof's good, the HVAC's good at the time that we reach out. But they've identified that it's in a zip code that we like, it's a solid, bed bath count. It's within our buy box, right? So therefore they're going to pass that lead over, and then we're going to follow up with that lead until they are motivated to sell, until they have to replace the roof, until they have to replace the HVAC, until their tenant stops paying, until that motivation comes up. Like for example, like cold call, from when that lead enters our system to when we actually get it under contract is last year was an average of 181 days. And then after the 181 days is an average of 45 days to actually see the profit from the contract.
So are all your guys that are under your payroll, they just eat what you kill?
I give my guys two options. So it'll be, a small monthly stipend with a lower commission percentage, or commission based only which obviously a much higher commission based.
So how do you guys manage cash flows if you're paying someone up front and then guarantee their production on the back end if you have a long sales cycle, like, 180 days?
Yeah, so the stipend just goes out on the 15th of each month. It's, a one time, if they go the stipend model, they're just getting it one day of the month in full, and then commissions are paid out per deal. So once the deal closes, they're getting their commission.
Gotcha. So I'm saying, like, how are you keeping accountability on these guys to make sure that you get that ROI on them down the road?
So they have an accountability tracker. I'm a huge goal setter. Like, we have this huge goal tracker. I just reverse engineer everything, the whole sales process, goal setting, everything like that. I'm a huge advocate of that. So they have an accountability tracker, every day, they know based off what their goal was on how much money they wanted to make this year, in our goal setting meeting. I can reverse engineer to determine how many calls they have to make on a daily basis, how many appointments they have to set, how many offers they have to make, how many contracts they have to get. And then I can mesh that together with their conversion, their sales performance. One guy closes at 20%, the other guy closes at 35%. Okay, that's a little bit different. So you gotta have to, the guy at 20% has to make more calls than the guy at 30, obviously. So we have an accountability tracker. We do a stoplight report, a green day meaning they hit all their numbers, a yellow day meaning they hit 3 out of 5, and a red day they hit, less than 3 out of the 5. So they're going in, they're manually entering that in at the end of every day. So it's right there. It's in the top of their mind. Shit, today was a bad day. Shit, today was a great day. Hell yeah.
Are they 5 different KPIs that you're looking for? What are they?
So the first one is just overall calls. The second one is going to be conversations. We consider a conversation anything over 2 minutes. If you call someone and they say, oh yeah, no, I'm not interested in selling, that's not a conversation, right? You just got to have a legit conversation at least over 2 minutes and with some sort of next step, some sort of action item, right? After that, we do appointment set, which is meaning that, you're setting an appointment for yourself to then make the offer, setting the offer call, and then offer completed. Because you'd be surprised how many sellers go ahead and give you all the information, tell you they're motivated, and then it comes to make, to do their offer call and they're nowhere to be found,
right.
Day after day after day. So appointment completed, which is offer made, is the same thing. And then contracts, and then total talk time. So we want our guys talking at a minimum of 100 minutes a day throughout their 65 calls.
So how are you auditing like something like conversations? Like, you can obviously look at 300 calls and see if there was a next step action item.
Yeah. So like a majority of it is tracked within our CRM. Every call is recorded. There's a call log. So like I could filter and go through it and it would be pretty easy. But my guys, they're actually all, good friends of mine and all pre-existing relationships, which is cool.
So you trust them?
I just hired my first stranger, which is interesting. But they, I trust their opinion on it. They're not going to lie to me, because at the end of the day, it's if they're lying to me about their numbers, they're lying to themselves, and it's going to show in the end of the month, and the end of the quarter, and the end of the year.
And so like, I was having this conversation with someone the other day about how like there's kind of 2 different styles of accountability, like systems, which it seems like you're following, then there's like culture accountability. Like, if you have that like mindset, of these goals and, your responsibilities, that can be a boundary or a parameter that like leads to that accountability. Do you guys do anything like culture driving, or is it mostly systems based?
Yeah. So definitely just like structure and systems wise, I would say we're definitely a little bit heavier on that. Reason being is because it is virtual. We are a virtual company, right? I'm here in Charleston. I have 2 other guys here in Charleston. But like my director of operations, he's in Philadelphia. My director of acquisitions, he's in Dallas, Texas. 2 of my AMs are in Vancouver, Canada. 2 of my assistants are in the Philippines. So, majority of it is systems. I mean, culture wise, we do strive to do 1 trip a quarter. So like last year we went to Scottsdale. They came to Charleston 3 times. And then they'll probably come to Charleston this quarter as well. So fly everybody in, and that's really the time that we get together. But eventually, building that team out in person is the goal. And
what is like the best use of your time within the company?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And like right now, Jack, who's my director of op, like he's dialed in. He's been with me for about a year and a half. Started again from lead manager ground up to, you know, now running the company. For me, you know, I'm really learning new construction and developing, and as well as these like really big renovations. So like the standard wholesale operation like that, like Jack can run that. If I died right now, you know, Jack could run the wholesale operation and we would go do 2 million next year. No thought about it. Just because we've built the right systems and processes, and you know, he's a beast. You know, he can run it. So for me, like one project in particular, 1080 Cottingham, it's right next to Shem Creek. That one, you know, just a great deal, a unicorn of a deal. We could have assigned that all day for probably 120 grand and just been done with it, you know, taken our money and walked. But me knowing the area that it's in and me having the connections and the contractors to do, you know, a $500,000 renovation and, you know, turn that 100K fee into a potential $700,000 to $800,000 profit 2 years down the line makes a lot of sense, right? So really just me adding to my tool belt, you know, doing just very heavy value add opportunities. And then that's one thing. The next thing would be raising private capital. So like right now, I mainly use hard money lenders where I'm paying about 14%, you know, monthly interest on these notes. They're short-term notes, so I'm paying super high interest. If I can go ahead and raise private money at 8, 10, 11%, hell, even 13% a point off of $1 million loan is a lot of money. So raising private capital, which is why I started all the new social media stuff. And lastly is development, like the one that we're doing in Old Village. I have no business doing that myself. I can't qualify for the $3 million loan that I need to build it. So I partner with a builder. Again, that was a deal that we could have assigned for a $100,000 fee, but we took the delayed gratification route to then learn how to do, you know, development spec homes in the Old Village. And again, you know, make, you know, pretty much quadruple X what we were going to make if we assigned it just, you know, 18 months down the line.
What's the biggest oh shit moment you've encountered in this entrepreneurial journey building the company?
I mean, I've been very fortunate, knock on wood.
We got the systems in place. That's
You're
why
saying like, oh shit, like I messed up, or like, oh shit, this is cool.
I would say I messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Well, this one wasn't really. That was my
The biggest adversity that you've hit within building this company.
Yeah, I think probably just dude, I've been really fortunate. Nothing really comes out at me. I mean, we've had like a few times where, you know, I feel like the biggest, it's the tiny deals. Like we have a deal right now where this guy, there's no money to be made on the deal, but the guy has brain cancer. It's already taken so much of our time, and like this guy doesn't have much longer to live. So like we're losing money on the deal because we like overhead cost per contract for us is like $4,500. We were gonna make $5,200, so a few $100, and now we just, you know, we gave it all to him. So we're losing money on it. So like it's like, damn, like this sucks, but we helped someone out. You know, we're not making any money, but hey, you know, we're helping someone who's in a bad situation. I've had people, I've been like snaked on deals a few times, you know, just, you know, sketchy investors going behind your back when they walk properties. But, you know, knock on wood, never been sued, never have even been tried in any way like that. So.
Yeah. In due time.
Oh, I took my first loss on my first new construction project in Goose Creek. Yeah, that was probably it. Yeah, we didn't account for tap fees. That was $8,000. The property sat for an additional 2 months. So paid a lot more interest, and we lost about $9,000 on that one.
Was the $9,000 worth the lesson learned?
Yeah, 100%.
I have some questions, just like kind of selfish information. I'm doing like a real estate development internationally, and we have had some difficulty getting U.S. investment to Latin America. Although it's like, you know, in my opinion, the conditions for a really good deal, engaging with those people and having that influence and like not just like chasing and begging for the money has been an issue. What would you say how would you approach a deal like that?
How big of a deal are we talking?
We secured a $36 million option.
Wow.
On 600 lots as our inventory, oceanfront property.
Nice. And is that a U.S.-based company that's leading it or no?
No, it's like literally just me and one other guy.
Oh, wow. Okay. I think track record with like deals like of that size and just like being in Latin America, obviously there's different economies of scale with that. I think a lot of it is just credibility in your track record. If you can show these investors, chances are if you've done it before, you have the investors, it went successfully and they want to invest in you again. Therefore, it's not the biggest hurdle to raise additional capital. But starting out like as your first one, that's a big one, obviously.
So we did the first one. It was a smaller property in another location, much lower demand on that location. We just used an Instagram ad and sold 80% of the inventory.
Nice.
But that was like more natural market, and now we're trying to do like more of a large scale digital marketing push. But I find that what I've learned is that if I market for real estate, we're kind of put ourselves at like I don't want to say submissive, but like we de-elevate ourselves when it's like, it almost is like a timeshare, like come down to Panama to look at real estate. Then we're like selling to the person the entire time and it puts us at a disadvantage. So I've tried to market like other things to get them down there and then expose them to that real estate while they're down there, because it's a lot easier, in my opinion, once they see the land and like are experiencing the destination. It's a much easier sell. But yeah, it's been difficult to get people to make the transaction.
Yeah. And now what is like what's the raise that you're advertising?
So we're selling right now in our phase one, because we just secured this option. The bank appraisal on these lots is about $100,000 for, depending on where it is on the property, from half acre to an acre lot of oceanfront property. All the properties have oceanfront views, and we're selling them at 30 to 40% below bank appraisal for this phase one. Which we're trying to raise the money to trigger that second piece of land in the option.
And then are you guys building it too, or you're selling it and you're out? You're done?
No, we have the builder. We're taking a spread with the builder. So we recommend them to the builder, and then within that property, I guess you could call it like there's like HOA standards kind of. So they have to like build within certain parameters. They can't just put up like a skyscraper.
Yeah.
So we recommend them to a builder. We have an architect that we're working with.
Nice.
And then we take a little spread on that, but like our primary focus is the lot sales.
Nice. That's awesome. So ideally, like your ideal, like the ones that you have sold are those people that are buying this to keep and hold for their own vacation home, or more like a quick investment. Hey, I can fund this project and then we can sell it and I'll make, X.
So there's been, different targets that we've gone after. One being like someone who wants to borrow against the land. And so that would be someone in Panama, because someone from the US isn't going to like work with a Panamanian bank. But we're kind of like running, it's a small community in Panama that has the money to do that. So like we went through that market in our last development.
Yeah.
So that would be one. Number two is like we're branding this destination. It's a really good, like, it's one of the top surf destinations in all of Panama. So we're branding it as like a kind of a community, like entrepreneurship, holistic wellness, like, it's definitely remote. It's a top, fishing destination and surfing destination. So those would be the people that are either going to use it as a, vacation home or, as a long-term, place to live. So like expats would be those two. And then there are people that obviously want to quickly flip it, but we're putting in parameters in this first phase. Like we don't want us selling it below bank appraisal and then they're fucking with our comps on the entire property, selling it a year later when we're trying to sell the retail properties and they're dropping the costs.
That's very smart, yeah.
So a couple different like factors that we're dealing with. And this is like, we literally just secured the option in like the last month. So I'm trying to like piece together like what is my exact strategy for starting to move some of this real estate. And obviously we have time frames on like how fast we have to get the money before the next option triggers or the like, we lose the option. So I have to raise certain amounts of money and certain, checkpoints.
Interesting. No, wow. Yeah, that's very cool. I don't have any experience with that. I'll be totally honest with you, but I do know, I know some people that do, but they've done hotels. I don't know about the option contracts though, but I definitely have some people I could connect you with.
Yeah. Sweet. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That was kind of a fucking rant, but, next question, we'll get back on track. What is your definition of success? Like, what are you chasing after in this entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, I think financial freedom obviously is one thing, but I think time freedom too, just being able to do what you want when you want, where you want at all times, as well as like affecting people, like just changing people's lives and building them up too, and building my own team and just like seeing the people that I've hired and trained from day one, be successful in the industry is really cool. It really is. You always hear people say it, but until you actually do it, it's like, damn, like that is cool. I did have a huge effect on that person. And yeah, I mean, time freedom and just overall happiness. If you want to make, $2 million a year and you could do it working 2 hours a day versus, 90-hour weeks, I think it just depends on, obviously everybody wants the floor on that, but everyone's definition of success is different. And for me, it's just, doing what I want, when I want, where I want. And, if my buddy invites me to go skiing, next week in Colorado, I can go do that. That's awesome. I'll be there.
So when you identify a new opportunity within the business, like you're busting out a new layer or a new level within the company, what is your process to like realize that opportunity, systemize it, and then like not have it take up all your time, like remove your time from it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's obviously depends exactly what it is, but like, for example, like a lot of it's going to be like marketing sources. Like we experiment with new marketing sources, testing them. So we take 8 to 12% of our set marketing budget on a monthly basis and use that on a new marketing channel. For example, like the most recent one we did was pre-foreclosure marketing. So we hired we have a data manager, so we trained her up on that. I went ahead and learned it from my business coach, one of his students who does it very well. Again, paid for proximity. Hey, I'm not going to go sit down and spend 6 months figuring this out. I'm going to go to the guy that's already doing it in a different market. I'm not going to be, I'm not competition to him. I'm in a complete different market. So I'm going to go give this guy $5,000. He's going to teach me everything. And then I'll just go ahead and implement it. And it should work in my market, right? Instead of trying to figure it out. So literally just like copy and paste, like don't reinvent the wheel. It works for him. It worked for us. Will it work for us? And as of now, it's doing pretty good. But my big thing is I can't expect my employees to do it if I don't know how to do it. So I have to do it first.
Right.
And then we just film Loom videos on everything. Everything is documented. And they always have those trainings to go back on.
What is the biggest thing that you have learned through this process that you didn't know when you started out that you wish you knew now?
I think just the importance of like just synergy and relationships. I mean, real estate in general is such a relationship business, but like the saying, your network is your net worth is so, I've seen it become so true. And just having someone reach out to me, like I was catching up with a buddy that I hadn't talked to in a while, like same industry, we're both busy. And it's 90 acres up in Lexington County, and I'd marketed it for 4 or 5 months, and we ended up having to cancel it. I lost some money in EMD, XYZ, and he's like, hey, and we end up getting a coffee. He's like, hey, I'm doing I'm working with this land guy now. They're looking to buy a lot of land. I'm like, oh, I had this under contract. Like, you think they'd be interested? He said, oh my God, absolutely. Like, this is exactly what they're looking for. Calls them. They offer him 1.4. I had it at $850,000. So that's a big spread right there. And that's just like me not having like the buyer's out there somewhere. I just didn't find them within my time frame. Right.
Yeah.
The next thing we know, I call the seller back and he's pissed. He's not, I mean, I was explained to him why it didn't work out. He got EMD, so I didn't screw him over by any part, but he wanted the property to be sold. So I came back and said, hey, we can do the 850. I found my partner. Let's do this. He's like, I'll do 900. I was like, all right, we'll do 900. So that's something like a dead lead. And like, if I hadn't gotten coffee with Scott that day, then, it wouldn't have happened. Just synergy, building good relationships, and it goes full circle in lending. Even just like, have you read the book, The Go-Giver?
No.
So just like the more you give, the more you get in the long run. So I'm a big advocate of that. Like if there's a deal where like someone's pressing me for a few extra grand or, a few $100, I'm going to let them have it. And then just knowing that that's going to come back, in the long run.
What do you think are the principles or characteristics of a good relationship? And how do you identify a relationship worth pursuing?
In business, I think it definitely obviously has to be transparency is the biggest thing. Like I'm overly transparent with everything. Every guy on my team knows the margins of the business. They know what I spend on marketing. They know, each other's comp plan, not because it's directly advertised, but like we're comfortable to talk about that stuff because, I think it's important. I don't want anyone to, have a cold shoulder or think that, they're being misled. But definitely transparency. I think that's number one on the pedestal for me. And then obviously, there needs to be value given on both sides of the relationship. If you're just pouring value into me, it's not really an equal relationship where you probably end up walking away at some point.
Right.
Unless you see potential, but then it's more of a mentor type relationship.
I remember the question that I was going to ask that froze me up. If you had $1 million of guilt-free capital, how would you deploy it?
Guilt-free?
Within your company. Because you got free money.
You said $1 million?
$1 million.
I would start a whole, I already have I have Deventum Holdings, Deventum Properties, and
Deventum?
Yeah, so my name's obviously Devin. I was reading the book Big Mo's Theory of Momentum, explaining how you'd basically leverage momentum in the business world to, double down, especially in sales, just leveraging momentum. So I put Devin and momentum together and got Deventum.
Gotcha, okay.
But yeah, so I would start a small fund. I'm just what I'm trying to do right now at Deventum Capital, which is the main reason behind all the social media I'm starting to do. But I would put it in, it's Deventum Capital, call it a debt fund, lend to myself, lend to other people.
What have you found to be the keys of raising money? I see everyone trying to raise money, not many people doing it successfully.
I haven't done it successfully. So, I've, watched videos, I've talked to a lot of people about it, but, it's starting small. I have, borrowed private money before, but it's all, I guess I have raised capital, right? But it's been from my grandfather, from one of my acquisitions guys made a bunch of money in tech sales, and he's lent on a few deals too, as well as my parents and, some other close friends that have lent on stuff. But that's, the real true private money lender is the guy that, has unlimited resources. So you could call 2-3 days before closing and he'd trust you. He's not even going to look at the deal. He's like, yeah, here's a $200,000. I'll see it in 6 months.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have trouble because you have granularity in your data and which is control for them. I see a lot of guys that try to raise money from our private equity partners, they come to them with a vision, and that is very little control. They want to see an execution plan correlated to data that has a per unit due diligence that's attached to something that's already happened.
Yeah.
Forward projections.
Ours is very simple. Hey, these are the terms of the deal. This is what we've done. This is why we know it's going to work out.
Yeah. These
are potential roadblocks.
100%.
Write up a prom note, agree on your interests, and then cool, see ya. Then I always do, monthly check-ins. So just monthly updates. My assistant will send an email to him on project status.
What do you think's the biggest thing that you're trying to achieve? What's next on your radar?
I really want to get down the development thing. It's so cool, especially in the old village. Building a $4 million house is pretty cool. And it just goes back to my point before from wholesaling is not glorious at all. It's not glamorous. It's ugly houses. We're buying and selling ugly houses where, building a $4 million house in a beautiful part of town is super exciting. That's something I'm pumped to put my name on and say I did that. That's where I want to go. Another thing too is with wholesale, our average fee was $18,000. So to do a $2-3 million a 2 to 3 year $1 million year, Jesus Christ, you have to go ahead and do over 100 transactions, and that's a lot of stuff, a lot of marketing, a lot of overhead, a lot of employees. So just driving quality over quantity. In 10 years from now, if I'm only doing 5 spec houses in the old village at Sullivan's, in these great areas, making the same amount of money with a lot less employees, a lot less overhead, that's the main goal.
How would you recommend someone who wants to get into the real estate industry as an entrepreneur, not necessarily just an employee, and has no capital and no skills yet? Where do you start?
Oof. Start door knocking. Yeah, no, there's so many amazing resources on YouTube. Knowing what I know now, when you said, do I regret paying the $10,000 for that mentorship program? No, but the training modules, that shit's all on YouTube. It's out there. But the community around it and the support from a coach, and that is where the value truly is, if that's what you're paying for. But if you just, start with YouTube. I think wholesaling is the lowest barrier to entry. You really little to no risk. And you're not having to bring the money to closing, right? So that's your best bet, right? And this guy Chris Rude kind of explains like the philosophy and trajectory of real estate investing as like wholesaling. View wholesaling as elementary school, where you're just getting your feet wet, little to no money. Barrier to entry is low. Start wholesaling. Start assigning some deals. Throughout doing so, you'll obviously be networking with flippers. That's who you're selling deals with. They're making good money. You're going to learn how to underwrite these properties. You're going to learn how to determine a renovation budget, ARV, see these things through. You're going to meet agents. You're going to meet all these people throughout that process. Then the time will come where you've successfully wholesaled for 6 months, a year, whatever it be. And instead of making, 18 grand on that wholesale deal, you can go ahead and flip it and make 50 to 60. And by doing so, you're graduating to high school. So high school would be flipping, right? And then from there, college would be development. And then, grad school would be becoming the lender. The lender is the best place to be in all of real estate investing, because if you did it correctly and if you just lend from, just inheritance or just money and you don't have any real estate experience, it's a little different. But all the lenders that I know, the people that I envy and the people that I want to be, they've started out as a wholesaler and worked their way up, throughout 20, 30 years, whatever it be. And throughout that time, they're lending to all their friends. They're lending to people that they know, like, and trust, people that have been doing this for 10 to 15 years. And there's little to no risk. They're getting a solid return, and
it's collateralized.
Exactly. And it's backed by real estate. And God forbid something goes wrong in one of those projects, you have to foreclose on, one of your borrowers. You're picking up you're making more money than if they saw it through. So it's almost like it's a nightmare of a process. But if God forbid, you have to foreclose on a borrower, you're going to end up making more money because you already know how to do all that stuff and you have all the systems and processes in place.
Yeah, that's good advice. Last question that I have is, how do you find, or how do you identify or pick the right mentor for you? And then how do you get a mentor to help you out? I think a ton of people are interested in finding mentorship, but don't know how to go about it.
Yeah, I think and this is something that I guess I kind of used the wrong word in mentor. Like Nate, the guy that I worked for 2.5 years, he was a true mentor. Do you know the difference between a mentor and a coach?
No.
You talked about that. So a mentor is someone that you work with. You're not paying your mentor to teach you. The mentor is investing in you because they see potential. And then as long as you succeed and their training pays off and you take in their knowledge and you execute on it, that's then when they, see, a benefit, a result, a profit from you, their mentee. A coach is a transactional relationship where you have something that I don't have, something that I don't have. I'm going to pay you so that you teach me that. And it's just straight transactional. So I think a mentor needs to be, it's obviously a very genuine person. A mentor is someone that you're really working for and working with. A coach is someone that you're just paying, paying for a course, paying for, an hour-long meeting, whatever it be. A mentor, there's no limit to, how often you're going to meet. If they truly see potential in you, they're going to pour into you.
100%. If people are interested in your services or want to hit you up to get more information, where can they find you?
Instagram, Deventum, DEVENTUM REI. And my personal's on there too, so Instagram would be best.
Oh yeah, well, I appreciate you coming on. That was
Likewise,
awesome.
dude. Appreciate it.
Sick. Nice.